Hi, my honeys. I'm as excited as always to be here with you again. Welcome. If this is your first connection, I am just Melissa, and this is Empower Empire, your channel for all things personal power. I am your #1 go-to girl for power pointers in all the various realms of your life: personal, partnership, professional, and purpose. It is my express intention to assist in lovingly empowering you to facilitate more of your healing and release, and to let you know exactly who you are. And in this pursuit, I am your new YouTube bestie, your favorite guide to a more empowered experience that is brilliant, sparkly, and beautiful. And I want nothing less than to share in your eyes. Let's explore today's topic. The physical brain is literally just like a receiver. Like you would have an old-fashioned radio for those of us who are 70s and 80s babies. Think of your brain as an old-fashioned radio with lots of dials that you can tune into different stations. And that's what the physical brain does. The mind is held outside of the physical brain. The mind is an energetic and a quantum field that the quality of the frequency of the thoughts and beliefs that we hold are tuning into, just like we can tune a radio to a certain station. So what's incredible about this universe that we live in, understanding it in computer speak, is that it's all code. It's literally all code. So we are experiencing life with this binary system. Everything is coming in as zeros and ones, zeros and ones. And the left side of our brain, the logical analytical side of our brain, is charged as the hardware program to sequence and order and structure those ones and zeros into something that follows a sequential structure and pattern and makes logical sense, according to the previous conditioning that we have set. And then our right hemisphere is responsible for making that all artsy. So using the senses, we're going to turn that code into something that we could see, like on a computer screen. So we're going to give it color and light and sound and patterns. We're going to make it mean something. We're going to give it an emotion. And thereby, this incredible receiver creates what we experience through our senses as reality. But it's literally a creation of this incredible machine that is projected out for us to experience. So the extent to which all of that from start to finish can be rewritten is quite unimaginable. But we have to start with understanding that it is not the conscious mind, the evolved mind, that is actually running that coding show. The one that's running that is the subconscious. And that's what we have to tap into if we want to reprogram. Just like on a computer, no amount of typing something in now is going to change the back office programs that are running the show. And it's the same with the subconscious. We can consciously choose to think and believe and say and feel a certain thing and have the completely opposite results in our lives because the subconscious doesn't agree with us yet. So it is one of the most powerful practices to actually make a practice out of reprogramming the subconscious mind. From either a conceptual or a religious or a cultural point of view, believe that life begins either when the first breath is taken or at conception. Very, very few understand that life is actually eternal, and eternity doesn't flow in one direction from here to the future. Eternity is a never-ending circle. So If we understand that our energy is eternal, and it is, physics tells us that, it's always been eternal. It starts before conception, for sure. And within a realm of experience that is dominated by the law of free will, that free will needed to be in operation before we were here. Otherwise, it's not really free. So when you understand those two concepts, that we've had our free will all along, it's inherent, it's not granted and then ungranted. We are free will beings, we always have been. And we are eternal beings, and we always will be. So we literally choose the environment of our early conditioning. So we don't only choose when we will incarnate, but where on the planet, to what family, and we choose our mother, our father, our significant life events based on how our stream of consciousness needs to expand, which we interpret down here as our personal growth. So the environment of our conditioning that we choose is the environment that is perfect for what we need. And so very often that contains the very things that we think, quote unquote, shouldn't have happened. Those horrible, traumatic, negative experiences that none of us would consciously choose. And yet they've formed who we are. So we can't regret them, not truly, because we wouldn't be the character that we are with the strength and the growth and all the other attributes that we have without those negative experiences. So in addition to that, our behavior now and our results in life, the personality that we think we are, none of those things are random. They're all conditional. And the beauty is that they're malleable. They're not written in stone. They are not concrete. They're subject to change. So when we are born, those first 5 years, the brain is actually at a level of brain waves synonymous with a hypnotic state. A little child, up until the age of 5 to 7, isn't really conscious. They are in the theta brainwave state, being hypnotically programmed, aka conditioned, into a certain culture, into a mountain of consciously and subconsciously held beliefs, into an identity, into loyalty and disloyalty to certain things and not others. And so when we arrive at the point where we want to choose our own constructs, our own identity, and our own beliefs for ourselves, and we want to reprogram those things, that is why we have to then re-enter that theta brain state to be able to do that. It's imperative, first of all, to become aware. Become aware. Let's not go through life just automatically responding, instantly reacting the way we've always reacted. Sleepwalking through our lives, giving all our power away to external things and people and events. It's so imperative to become aware that we are actually creative beings who are conscious and we can change things. We're here to actually have an effect on our own lives as well as on external environments and other people, circumstances, relationships, and things. We're powerful beings. And life is a mirror. It's a profoundly accurate mirror when you know how to look at it properly. Life, whatever it is showing you right now, is showing you a perfectly accurate picture of what is going on in your internal world. And we don't break the mirror. We don't remove the smudge on the mirror. That achieves nothing. We need to look at the mirror of life and recognize what it's showing us. And then that's what we need to work on changing. It is within. And it's as simple as a choice. Now, early independent years, we tend to live according to that conditioning until we come up against a personal life experience that shows us somehow in some way, this conditioned belief is not valid. This conditioned way of behavior doesn't work. This conditioned thinking isn't effective. This conditioned feeling is not actually a natural response to absolutely everyone I've just met. Hey, wait, this is just what I was taught. This is actually what I want to believe. And so what tends to happen is that society and life experience confirms beliefs that we weren't even consciously aware of. And so we get stuck in that loop, we hold to it, and we even add to it until we don't do that anymore. And usually it takes a crisis of some kind, a relationship that doesn't work, a career that doesn't go anywhere, a physical condition, a profound loss, a traumatic event. It takes a crisis of some kind to actually force us into our own self-actualization, to actually force us to start questioning not only what we think, but why we think it, where we got it from, what we believe, why we believe it, and is it even valid? What we do and why we do it, and does it actually serve us? And when we start questioning these things, and some of us go further into existentialism and start questioning the way and why for of absolutely everything. Why am I here? What is life was about? What's the point? Questions are so good. Because as soon as we start questioning, we start moving out of that conditioning. Eventually, we all start realizing that it's a very simple fact of what works, what just doesn't. We see that it's easier to let that go. But then we come up against a whole new bunch of challenges. It can be deeply shocking. It can literally be like an earthquake to your very foundation. It can seem very, very difficult. I know in my experience, when I first started working on changing conditioning, it felt like it would never end. It was like, when am I done with all the stuff that I don't choose to identify with anymore? It can feel like it doesn't end, but I promise it does. Eventually it does. What we have to do to speed up that process energetically of being in that very confusing and oh my gosh energetic state is to deal in particular with three things. The first is the autopilot thoughts that no matter what you're consciously choosing are going to come up in resistance and reaction to that. And that will happen for quite a long time until you've really gotten certain and sure about what it is that your new conceptions actually are. The second is the inner critic, that supraconscious that behaves like an internal parent. And depending on how you grew up, how harsh that parent is or isn't is determined by that. But nonetheless, everyone has an inner critic. That every time you try to think out of the preconditioned box is going to come in and try and slam you for it. And that's where some extent of emotional healing and strong personal truth about your worth and value is going to be so important for you. Because that is where you will find the ability to tell the inner critic, no, that's wrong, is to realize that in spite of how much we do with our conscious minds, it's the subconscious that's really running the show. And that is where the vital importance of doing subconscious reprogramming comes in. Now, before I go any further, I need to explain what a belief in itself is. Because a lot of people, when they hear the word belief, are going to automatically think of something religious and something that is linked to their faith. And beliefs are so much more than that. Beliefs can be religious and they can be faith-based, but they are also just thoughts that we've repetitively thought. And those thoughts, repetitively thought, have become a belief. And a lot of them are false because of that. A false belief is false because, first of all, it's always negatively based. That's what makes it false. Because you see, anything negative is never true. Truth is one and synonymous with light, life, and love. So if any belief you hold is not in line with either the light, otherwise known as positivity, or love, otherwise known as beauty and harmony, or life, which is growth, expansion, and balance, then that is a false belief and it's not true. So some examples of false beliefs that most of us hold or have held is this idea of not enoughness, that somehow we are not enough of something. There are big beliefs around personal identifications that are false, where we wrap our identity around non-existent things like our nationality, our culture, things that society and people have literally made up, things that are just psychological concepts that have no truth and eternity to them. We have false beliefs about genetics. We have false beliefs about our personality and how, quote unquote, that's just how I am, which is never true. We also have a lot of false beliefs wrapped around religions that most of the time we've inherited, didn't choose for ourselves. We were raised in them or culturally bound in them. There are so many falsehoods in varying degrees that we hold as beliefs in our minds that determine how we live our lives, what we do and don't get to do, be, have, enjoy, and the freedom that we do or don't possess in our own lives. Most false beliefs are based in three fundamental and really big ideas. Our ideas around innate worthiness is one of them. And so believing that somehow we are not worthy or undeserving is one of them. Another is fear. So many false beliefs are based in fear. Yeah. So what we believe we can and can't do, what we believe is permissible to us or not, what we believe will work or not, what we believe we're entitled to or not, those beliefs are based in fear. But the third category is that of certainty. We have so many beliefs that we are just absolutely certain are that way. It just is. And it was never examined. And most of the time, the things we are most certain about are never true. Our ability for self-determination is unlimited. Some of us gave ourselves more challenges than others in terms of the life conditions that we actually incarnated into. Mm-hmm. So, for example, someone in a third world country living an impoverished life with very little access to information, precious little, if any, opportunities, they've automatically restricted their self-determination by all those external factors. So how much more important isn't it then to understand the ability to exercise self-determination, at least over myself, over this physical being, over the way I choose to live today, and to exercise the power that I do have in that regard. And then for those of us who don't have all those odds stacked against us, who have every opportunity in free and flourishing societies, for us to then sit down and suck our metaphorical thumbs and play the victim about how we don't have the power to actually effect self-determination in our own lives, well, that's just a tragic waste. What a tragic waste of the potential that we all carry. To not only change things for ourselves, but to change this awful injustice that we live our lives largely unaware of day by day, but that goes on all over the world for millions of people. What are we doing with our light? What are we doing with our power to make this place better for everyone? And it starts with making it better for ourselves. And then we get to extend that. What an adventure. The first thing to do is to make sure that you come into it with a feeling state of non-judgment, to come into it from a space of grace for yourself. Don't sit there expecting to achieve the Tibetan guru level of meditation, even your 10th time around. Choose the quiet, watch your breath, and then allow whatever thoughts to arise to just do so. Don't sit there judging yourself and go, oh, now I'm thinking and I mustn't be thinking. I'm supposed to be quiet. Recognize the thought that comes up. Get curious about it. See it. Say hello and let it leave. But then allow a residue of it to remain with you to contemplate. Why did that particular thought pass through my mind right now? And that is an exercise for your awareness. The other thing to remember is that the subconscious mind has no judgment at all. It just absorbs and accepts absolutely everything. It has no sense of humor. It has no moral code, zero, and absolutely no judgment. It just takes it all in. So the good news about that is that whatever you're consciously choosing and whatever you're consciously thinking will filter down to the subconscious. But if you're going to only rely on that conscious process, it's going to be a process of decades to eradicate all the programming that is in there. So a much faster and a much better way is to access the subconscious directly and set about an actual reprogramming schedule. And the best way to do that is when you're asleep, when the conscious mind is not involved in the process at all, and the subconscious is open and receptive, to start working on reprogramming your mind. And there are many different ways to do that. You can do it with your own affirmations. You can do it with guided meditations. You can do it with hypnotic tracks. You can do it with binaural beats. You can do it with frequencies. You can do it with a combination of all of those things. But to literally put programming into your subconscious mind at night when you're asleep is one of the fastest ways to undo preconditioning and those results in your life. The meditation route is going to be profoundly difficult for you if you are still holding traumatized emotional states, anxiety in particular. PTSD symptoms, things like that are going to make meditation next to impossible. So that aspect, which is resistant to going into the quiet, needs to be dealt with first. And that falls within the remit of emotional healing and psychotherapy. But apart from that, I would look at my life and I would say, what is the most pressing thing that I really do not prefer, to put it mildly? The thing that I would most want to change. Start there, because you're already passionate about it. There's already a lot of feeling behind it. So choose that thing. Don't choose the thing that's the biggest, most awful, most horrid challenge in your life. Let's get a little bit good at this reprogramming thing first. But decide what you prefer least and focus on that. Choose some new conscious thoughts. Choose some new programs that you would like your subconscious to accept from you. And try to find that place in yourself where you can let those emotionally settle and become your new state of being. And then staying in non-judgment and staying in grace, breathe and give it time. Nothing worth having doesn't require time to blossom and grow. So don't judge the speed of your progress. Don't judge your process, but allow yourself to make the changes that you choose. Feel it real. And the highest use of the imagination is to bring all 5 senses into play. The fact is, robotic coding, just like robotic repetition of affirmations, will work. It really will. Amazingly, it'll work. Even if you don't believe what you're saying, you will get to a certain number of repetitions and the brain will just create a new neural pathway. It's incredible how the system works. But it's so much more effective, it's so much more powerful, and it's more rapid if we engage all the senses and engage the imagination. We just haven't programmed it for ourselves. We've allowed it to be available out there, perhaps for a select few, for some reason we've told ourselves is true. But we've never given ourselves permission to have it for us. And it starts by having it right here. And then we will see it out there. Let's not look at all the things that we can't do or haven't done. Let's start asking ourselves, what could I do? What can I do? And sometimes that might be a smile. But whatever it is that you can do, do whatever you can do. Let's always reach for the best and the highest possible choice every moment that we feel that we can. And let's try and have as many of those moments that we feel that we can as possible. If you found this video valuable and you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you give it a like. And please, share your impressions and your questions with me in the comments below. I love receiving your feedback. Please also consider becoming a subscriber. It's free and it helps this channel to grow and to reach more new viewers so that we can spread this light more and more. Activate the notification bell if you would like to be informed when I post new content. And all of my offerings are always listed in the description box below. I'm constantly working to add to the available menu. As always, embrace this message if it resonates and be ineffable, my honeys. Much love. Until the next one.